Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. During a press conference on Monday, the 17th of February, Minister for Tourism Dominic Fedee addressed the press on several recent developments within the airlift sector, mainly newly added direct flights to the destination. The minister, who continues to stand strongly by the government's decision to allow Virgin Atlantic to pull out of St. Lucia, says it has allowed a growing partnership between the St. Lucia Tourism Authority and British Airways. Jacques Wooding tells us more.
Tourism Minister Dominic Fedee has expressed vindication after the government of St. Lucia refused to pay Virgin Atlantic subsidies in order for the airline to sustain regular flights to St. Lucia. Minister Fedee made this disclosure to local press as he announced that British Airways BA will increase direct flights from the United Kingdom to St. Lucia following the termination of Virgin Atlantic flights. According to Minister Fedee, while the loss of the airline to the island is sad, it opened up many other opportunities.
What's wonderful about these two flights is that they come without tagging to Trinidad. The existing flights will either tag to Trinidad or Tobago, or sometimes it goes to Grenada. But this one is an exclusive St. Lucia flight, and no doubt it came about because of the void that would have been left by Virgin Atlantic. We couldn't pay $2.5 million to an airline that has been coming to the destination for 21 years. What we would have done from time to time is that if you're coming in and it's a new route and it has been untried and you're a new carrier, then we would think of giving you certain incentives. But after 21 years with no major disruption in the marketplace or in the aviation business or industry, then I think that you've got to make a business decision.
Additionally, Air Canada has also announced increased flights to St. Lucia.
More good news on the airlift side, and that is Air Canada has also announced that it's going to be increasing its flights to St. Lucia by an additional one flight weekly. Usually it's a summer flight on a weekly basis, which would come in from Toronto, but now we're going to have instead of 2 in the summer, we're going to have 3, which gives us a weekly seat capacity advantage of about 136 seats a week.
Fedee is optimistic for another record-breaking year for the tourism sector in 2020. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
SLP spokesperson Dr. Ernest Hilaire has expressed concerns on the impending cease of operations by Virgin Atlantic to St. Lucia. This comes in response to Tourism Minister Dominic Fedee claiming that the addition of 2 new direct flights by British Airways validates the decision to allow Virgin Atlantic to pull out. Dr. Hilaire argues this creates a monopoly whereby British Airways has full capacity to control airfares coming into the island due to a lack of competition from other carriers.
If British Airways is the only carrier from the United Kingdom, they have a monopoly on prices. But what is bizarre is sometimes is how this government thinks by what they say. There it is. Virgin said, we're pulling out, and we asked if you don't want us to pull out, here is our request. The Prime Minister himself suggested that it should have been a negotiating approach. That's what it was. Virgin says, I want $20 million. The government said, no, we want to give you $5 million. And there's a negotiation. They told Virgin, no, pull out if you want. We're not giving you a blasted cent.
Dr. Hilaire says the newly added flights should not be used to validate the government allowing an air carrier to pull out without further negotiation. He underscores that new flights would be more impactful on tourism figures if pre-existing flights were maintained.
To suggest that because British Airways is introducing 2 new flights, you feel vindicated you did not pay Virgin. But who says we could not have gotten the British Airways 2 flights, plus still have Virgin, if we could have come up with a compromise or a reasonable arrangement? Because that's what negotiation is all about. It's about negotiating, so both sides win. So how do you know that we've actually made the pie as big as it can be? And I'm very happy British Airways is introducing 2 new flights, because there's a vacuum now because Virgin is no longer there. But could we not also still have Virgin and still have the British Airways 2 flights if we had come up with a better arrangement with Virgin.
Though supportive of the efforts of the Ministry of Tourism to cushion the impact of the loss of Virgin Atlantic, Dr. Hilaire says the government should now explore partnerships with other carriers in order to avoid a monopoly. A visiting motorcyclist is warning bikers poised to take part in this year's Independence Day activities to use the roads wisely and to practice safety whilst traversing the nation's streets on their two-wheelers. The warning comes days after a biker lost his life in a motorcycle collision. Rochelle Gonzalez tells us more.
The time of year is here again when motorcyclists have begun to flood the streets of the nation in preparation for the Independence Day activities. And with the festivities comes the road casualties and fatalities. The most recent fatality occurred on Friday the 14th of February when 26-year-old Alden Joseph collided with a motor pickup along the Bexar Highway. Earlier this week, Hot 7 News spoke to biker Larry Robinson, who is in St. Lucia visiting from St. Vincent for the 4th time to take part in the annual planned bike events. Robinson urged his fellow riders to practice safety on the roads.
The thing is with bikes, we know they're very dangerous at times, and we have to risk some time with other drivers. It's just you got to use your head and know how to control the power of the bike or sometimes certain road that you go through. That'd be kind of difficult sometimes, but well, other people who ride in are other bikers supposed to know how to control themselves and the motorcycle. Because I ride in for over about 15 years now, and I never really get into no accident. So
Robinson also reminded riders to strap up and use one item that could be a lifesaver.
sometimes, some people just say if they fall on a bike, they rather break a hand or break a foot or bruise up than get a head lash. Because if you get a head lash, you could lose your life and all of that. So it's a very safe thing to everybody wear a helmet. I think that's the best, to wear a helmet. Make sure when you're riding, wear a helmet.
Robinson said he looks forward to the venture annually and said it strengthens the ties between St. Lucia and St. Vincent. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
The Victoria Hospital celebrates the birth of triplets at its facility. It's the first time in more than 10 years.
There was triple the joy for a mom when a baby girl and 2 baby boys were delivered at the maternity unit of the Victoria Hospital on February 11th. The triplets were born via cesarean section, with 2 of them weighing in at 4 pounds 4 ounces and the other at 4 pounds 6 ounces. Consultant pediatrician Dr. Ira Simmons spoke on the safe delivery of the triplets and expressed delight that the newborn babies are healthy.
Prior to delivery, we wanted to make sure that the babies were old enough so that we wouldn't have to use any ventilatory support, because if they're born too young, the lungs are not mature, and therefore we need to ventilate them, and we don't have many ventilators at Victoria Hospital. So over the 3 weeks that she was in hospital before delivery, we made sure we gave mommy some special medications so that it could mature the baby's lungs in the womb, and by the time the babies were born, thank God, we didn't have to ventilate them.
Consultant gynecologist Dr. Lucilla Charles says the birth of the triplets is definitely a momentous occasion for both the family and the hospital, which calls for celebration.
Last Tuesday, we had to deliver her because the babies, as generally the rule with triplets, they tend to come early. So we had to take her in for a cesarean delivery, which went very well. We had full support of the pediatric team. They came out in a huge contingent, together with full support of the obstetric team. And that delivery went very well, smoothly. We were worried about things like blood loss, mother not doing very well. The fortunate thing is she was awake, so she was part of the experience. She received what is called a spinal, so she had no pain. She was comfortable and was able to celebrate the delivery of her babies.
Mother of the newborn triplets, Milka Sinai, says she was extremely delighted and overwhelmed at the birth of her 3 bundles of joy. The mom also expressed gratitude to the doctors and nurses for ensuring a safe delivery of the babies. Reporting from the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I am Fenel Neptune.
The president of the National Council on Public Transportation is urging hotel workers who are left to make their way home during the late hours of the night to form partnerships with different associations in order to establish designated minibus drivers to pick them up and drop them off to the safety of their homes. Godfrey Ferdinand says whilst the price might be slightly higher than a regular bus fare, it will be far less expensive than taxi fares, and it will be a safe way to get home.
Godfrey Ferdinand, who serves as the president of the National Council of Public Transport, says he would like to see a partnership bloom between minibus operators and hotel workers in order to solve the issue of staff having to pay large amounts of money in taxi fares after late-night shifts. Ferdinand said the solution is easier than one might think, and all staff need to do is to reach out and speak up.
They need to develop a relationship with one or two operators and exchange numbers and come to agreements of payments and time of operation so that they will not be stranded. I can speak to associations that have individuals working late hours, but it's just that one bus or two buses doing that because they know their customers works at the hotel. The customers are willing to pay the $5 instead of paying a taxi that might be about $35. So there's that relationship between the operator and the customer.
Ferdinand said one of the first steps persons can take is to approach the respective organizations, which will in turn source out drivers who are interested in setting up a service.
They develop a relationship with the said association, see if there is a operator that is willing to work with them for the late hours and exchange numbers, exchange working times so that there could be a much smoother operation. No bus driver will come down to Castries at 11 o'clock not knowing if they're going to get passengers. Obviously, it would be best if the operator and the customer would liaise.
The NCOPT president said whilst the matter is a concern to him, he advised interested persons to get others on board, as he said the initiative will not be possible with small numbers. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.